Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. On behalf of Manila House, this is Bambina Olivares, Director of Programming, welcoming members and non-members alike to today's online conversation with the artist known as Ikaj or Jackie Ontiveros Lozano. If this is your first time to join us online, allow me to introduce Manila House. We are a private members club that opened in February 2017 with the aim of bringing together an assemblage of people drawn from the business, creative, cultural, and intellectual communities who are also drawn to each other by a shared interest to continuously learn about art, culture, food, business, politics, and from the diversity of their fellow members themselves. It is a community of curious, committed, and caring individuals, and it lives on beyond the physical confines of the club. We began our webinar series in May 2020, covering and encouraging discussion about a range of topical issues, from business and investment to health and wellness and art and culture. We have featured both local and international speakers and continue to broaden our reach among members and non-members alike. Our previous webinars are available for viewing on the Manila House YouTube channel. That said, for the non-members among us, you might like to consider membership to Manila House. We have a limited number of memberships still available. Please email membership@Manila House Inc. for more information. Please be informed that Manila House, in compliance with the allowable IITF and LGU capacities, which is currently at 100% for indoor dining, is open to dine in for fully vaccinated members and their guests, and our takeaway service is open to the public. Please call us on 0917-816-3685 to place your orders. And to our members who have yet to visit our newest space, Luna Lounge, please come by and see this absolutely stunning room. Before we begin, just a few ground rules. This event is being recorded and live streamed on Facebook and will be up on the Manila House YouTube channel in a day or two. Please use the chat box and Q&A box for any questions and comments, and we'll get to your questions as we go along. Thank you. So if you've been to Manila House recently, you would have seen our latest exhibition, Bloom by Ikaj or Jackie Lozano, which consists of 14 paintings which are serene, lyrical, and expressive of the divine feminine. The artist herself is here to tell us more, but let me just give you a little bit of an introduction. So Jackie Ontiveros Lozano is an artist and a lecturer at the College of Fine Arts at the University of the Philippines in Diliman. She's also known as Ikaj, and maybe Jackie will tell us a bit more about that later. And she obtained her degree in visual communications from UP Diliman College of Fine Arts. A brief apprenticeship followed and laid the foundations for her art practice in classical oil technique and painting from life. Tracing a path through advertising, design, and teaching, Ikaj began painting full-time in 2013, using the collections Glimpses, Universe, Anonymous, Sea of Dreams, and Nudes. For her first solo exhibit in 2018, her work focused on figures to look up to, titled appropriately Hero, and incidentally first showed at Manila House. She has been teaching at the UP College of Fine Arts since 2013 and continues to receive numerous commissions for portraits in her anonymous style, an approach characterized by lightness and depth, achieved through quickly layered palette knife strokes. So I'm sure you'd like to see more of Jackie's work. So let me turn over to you, Jackie.
Hi, thank you, Bambina, for having me here. I'll share my screen now. Do you see my presentation now?
Yes.
Thank you. So hi, everyone. Thank you for being here. Let me introduce myself. My name is Jackie Montiveros Lozano. I'm also known as Ikaj. It's really just the backwards of my name. It's a nickname I've had since I was a kid. I'm a painter, and I mostly use oil paints, and I focus on figurative subjects for my work. I'm a Filipino, 34 years old, married to my husband, Johan Guash, and we have a dog. I just opened my 4th solo exhibition entitled Bloom. It's showing now in Manila House. And you have a few days to see it by. It's until July 31. So please do come and visit. It's open for everyone. So in this presentation, I will share with you the inspirations I had in creating this series and also my journey on how I started in this career as an artist, and also how my work has evolved through the years. It changes, and I believe Bambina has seen this in Manila House from 2018 when I started and until now. So in 2005, I went to college in the UP College of Fine Arts and I took up visual communication. This course focuses more actually on advertising and design. And after graduating in 2009, I spent a few years working in advertising and graphic design for companies like Campaigns and Gray, Sachi and BNC Design. Although design was very fun, I still find it very fun now. But I always went back to painting as like my main interest and passion. So I would go home after work and continue learning how to paint. Since it wasn't the focus of my course, I had to learn from other teachers in UP Fine Arts beyond college. And by 2013, I decided to paint full time. And it was also in 2013 that I started teaching in UP Fine Arts also. They took me in, thank you. I actually have a few students here. Hi. So this, what you see here is a clip from one of my classes. I teach drawing and painting techniques for freshmen and figure drawing for sophomores. And because of the pandemic back in 2020, I have to move everything online and take videos of all my lessons. It was a lot of work. But anyway, I do this until now. So half my time is actually dedicated to teaching. So my painting journey was full of experimentations of different styles and themes. Through the years, I tried to find my own voice. I didn't really have much influence or experience growing up, so I had to seek it out on my own. Here, you could see portraiture, abstract, figurative, a dragon, and flowers. They're very different. It's because I had to try everything and see what would fit and work with me the most. But of course, like any other artist, I started with classical painting, learned the fundamentals and objective rendering, learning how to use the different mediums. That already takes a lot of time. I enjoyed oil paint and I decided to focus on that. But although I believe I did pretty well in realism, I wasn't as content. I wanted to explore more than just realism and find something more fun and free and something that I can express a little more creatively. So in 2013, I started taking inspiration from other artists. I fell in love with Egon Schiele. He's an Austrian painter from the 1900s and the protege of Gustav Klimt. Gustav Klimt is the painter of the famous The Kiss. What I like about Egon Schiele's work is his form and body construction. That's very raw and honest. That's his work on the left. And so I tried to apply it in my own way. This is my attempt on the right. I call it the violinist. And with this, I learned how to use the human figure to express emotions and tell a story. By 2015, I discovered Kent Williams. This is his work on the left. He's an American painter and graphic novelist. I love his use of colors and his oil painting technique. He does a lot of layers. When you're working with any kind of painting medium, because there's so many styles and techniques that you can do. So you have to pick one and learn that and spend a few months working on just that specific technique. So I studied Kent Williams for quite a while. I also like how he portrays a narrative using symbolism and distortion of the figures and the patches of colors, and how he blends the human figure with abstract elements. So I tried to apply it in my painting back in 2015. I think I emulated sort of his style. This is called The Battle of the Hunted. It's about my experience with the past and how I felt nearly dead inside. Sorry, I know it's kind of heavy, but I always paint what I feel at the moment, and that's what I felt. So that's what came out of me. On the other side, though, around the same time, I like to jump styles and work on different things at the same time. I know I get to multitask for some reason because once I figure out one thing, I want to challenge myself with something else right away. So this is the my anonymous style for portraits. How I started here was compared to Kent Williams style. I wanted something quick and bright and fun. I used a palette knife to apply thick paint and get these bold strokes. That's all palette. Oh, I don't have my palette knife right now. It's like a paleta. I still love painting faces. That's really how I started. And I feel like portraits can allow a simpler way of expressing yourself. Just focusing on a few facial features can already be interesting. So now I offer this style for commissions. I continue to do it on the side. So for anyone who wants their portraits in this style, just let me know. These are my clients. I've done the previous year, last year lang. And I'm very grateful for their trust in my ability to paint their faces. Come 2018, it was time to really get serious with my art and put myself out there. And the best way to do that is to exhibit my work. Exhibiting is a really big production. You have to have a series for one thing, at least about 10 to 20 works. I usually go with 12 to 15 because I work kind of slow. Also because I'm teaching on the side, dami din. And then you have to have a venue and a way to reach your audience. So I had my first exhibit in 2018 in Manila House. That was a really, really fun show. I was so glad Manila House accepted me, and the paintings worked so well in the interiors. The exhibit went great, and it was received well by a lot of people. So what I did here for my first show, these are idealistic figures, hence the title Heroes. I was at a stage in my life where I had a lot of hope in the future. So I created my own figures to look up to remind myself of who I wanted to be. So it's like my own versions of saints and heroes. These are images from my imagination. On the left here, right now, it's the title of this is Courage. On the right is Sacrifice. And these were big, I think around 3 by 4 feet, and the bigger ones were 4 by 5.5 feet. Here are my sketches. So even though I was exhibiting, I was still kind of practicing. I had to study figures from Michelangelo. I drew all his people in the Sistine Chapel. It's more of so that I can practice the poses and learn how to manipulate the figure on my own. And then come 2020, I wanted to do another show in Manila House. This exhibit called Awakening was kind of a challenge because it is the time where the pandemic hit. And I think the show was supposed to be in April and the lockdown happened. Chaos and everything. So I decided to do it online. It worked out naman. This is another shift in style. These were reflections of my past naman compared to the heroes where it was about the future. This one was about my past. And it had a lot of secrets and confessions. So it was like while painting it. It was like I was processing a lot of things I carried with me from the past. And I would think that this style would be wouldn't be liked by a lot of people. I wasn't sure. It was very different from the heroes, but I was surprised to hear feedback from many that the work spoke to them in their own way, and I was really glad about that. My stories are very personal, and I don't really tell them directly. I'm very open to people relating to my work in whatever way they can. Next is Marigold Summer, just last year. It was, well, we were still in a pandemic, so I decided to continue it online. I didn't want to risk any COVID yet. Now, this time I wanted something different again, of course. This time to be more spontaneous and bright and fun again. Spontaneous, I mean, because the last two shows were very planned. All the paintings there started with a lot of sketches and studies and color studies, which I would work on for several weeks before painting. This one, I guess you can call it a burnout. I wanted something different. So I changed my medium. I used gouache, and it was the first time I used that on paper. And decided to use photo references so that it can assist me in doing everything spontaneously. Start with a blank paper and just go with the flow. Walang plano. So I also had a shift in subject. I found that I really enjoy painting feminine figures. I also found that I really like the color pink and other bright colors. So I guess it follows my life also, that things were getting brighter. Here I'm showing you a process where I have my photo reference on the left. I get my photo references from Pexel.com. It's a royalty-free website where photographers offer their photos royalty-free as long as you don't tell them. And you can use it in whatever way you want. So I would draw the figure, but not everything. This is something I teach my students, that if you're using a reference, don't copy everything. Just copy what's important and what you want to convey in your message. And I learned how to paint spontaneously, just putting colors wherever I wanted. So I really just wanted to have fun here. And I was glad that I got to do it. And a lot of people also enjoyed the paintings. This is the series where I started using a lot of pink, which I also applied for Bloom, where everything is nearly everything is pink. So since it was online, just for the other artists here, if you want to show your work online lang, it would be nice to put it on a wall. I made a digital mock-up on the wall so that my audience could see how big it is compared to a chair. Okay. And then we get here to Bloom, my exhibit happening now. Um, I'm really glad to be back to face. Sorry, there's a cat beside me. It's very different to see art up close, and also having to meet people and talk to people, hear their feedback. I didn't hear as much feedback for the past 2 years in the pandemic because there's no space to communicate. So this is happening now in Manila House. This is in their interiors. This photo is in the Rizal room. This series is a continuation of Marigold Summer at a larger scale. So I really enjoyed those small gouache works. And I used the same process of gouache with oil on canvas. I still kept it simple. My goal was to paint what I love. So you'll see themes of ballet, flowers, a lot of feminine motifs. It's pretty simple. And afterwards, seeing the series all together, I realized that it's like I was creating a new world of my own, full of memories and fantasies and things that are beautiful and inspiring for me. I'm glad I was able to share it to others. The ballet theme is because I used to dance ballet when I was a kid, but I had to stop. First because I had asthma, and then I had a knee injury, and I had to focus on art, painting. You can't really do everything, right? So I had to give up ballet. So right now I just enjoy dancing through my paintings. I also added flowers. I love gardening and growing flowers when I can. Here's my process. I work with a lot of layers to achieve a sense of depth. If you look closely, you could see more colors underneath the top colors. I'll show you one here. So on the left is my underpainting, on the right is the final. I have a lot of different colors underneath so that like when I add the top color, like I already imagine this on the right with a cream background, but there are a lot of other colors on the underpainting so that when I put scratches and layers of the cream, you could still see something underneath. It adds depth to the painting. And so that's why I do hope everyone can look at the paintings up close and that you can see the textures and colors underneath and appreciate the work that I put into it. So the exhibit is doing great. And the reason why I continue to come back to Manila House is because of the really nice interiors and ambience. You can see the paintings in a more living space, like compared to just empty walls. I get the reason for the empty walls with good light, but this one I like having it. Like you could see it in a more relaxed environment. You're sitting on a chair, you're eating. You can see it with plants around, something like your house, right? I worked on this starting November. And then by January, I think, is when I contacted Manila House to see if we can do a show. So for the artists here, if you're wondering how to do a series, I just had like maybe 4 or 5 when I showed you, Bambina, what I had. And then it's after coming up with at least 4 pieces. And if you want to decide to make it into a series, go look at the previous 4 and see the similarities, try to figure out what the theme is, and then continue that same thing for the rest of it. So I have 14 paintings. I have 5 flowers and 9 figurative works. This is in the reception, and this is the Rizal room. I also really like the colored walls. It gives a lot of contrast to the work. And that's it. Thank you for listening to my talk. The Bloom Show is still on until July 31 in Manila House. If you want to see more of my work and get updates, you can follow my Instagram, Ikaj_paintings. If you want a more curated view of my works, you can go to my website, ikajpaintings.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks so much, Jackie.
Welcome.
You want to just stop,
I'll stop.
share? Yeah. Yeah. No, they look really nice against the colored walls. And I like that. Actually, I've never heard anyone justify showing at Manila House in that sense of, knowing of how it feels. Now that you mention it, of course, it's so obvious. But
Yeah.
no, I mean, very feminine works, very nice. Like you said, they look really good against the colored walls.
Yeah.
And then also sometimes when you see something through a video like you did, like you have the benefit of a little bit of distance and you actually see how the colors all work together, and then the subject matter as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so what are you working on next? Because you seem to have a show every year now, almost.
Yeah. I don't know. I have no idea. That's how it is all the time after one show. Maybe I'll take a break and stop painting for a while, rest my mind, and then figure it out the next time. It's hard to plan so far, and I realize it's hard to plan during a pandemic.
Yeah. Yes, but how do you divide your time? Because you teach as well, and I'm sure the teaching is even more challenging now because it's all online, which is kind of like counterintuitive when you think about it, because it's visual art and
True, true.
with technique and all that. So how have you managed that first of all, and then how do you divide your time?
Okay, that's a big challenge. Um, what I did for school was I dedicated the first year making all the videos. That did take a
Yeah.
lot of time, maybe a whole year making videos for my students. And then after that 2021 and until now I can just reuse the videos. So my time for teaching has lessened, good thing. And I guess it pays that I am very organized with my schedule. I live through Google Calendar. So if it's not my schedule, I won't do it. So I'm kind of OC with my time. That's what helps me manage both
Yeah.
teaching, portraits, exhibit.
But obviously it's a full-time thing now, right?
It
I mean, well,
is.
you teach as well, but you're also a full-time painter. It I, Johan, who's we know
Yes.
as well, are you married now? Because you were
Yes, I
just still kind
am.
of dating. So was this a pandemic wedding, or was
We
it
got
right before?
married right before the pandemic, but we already
Okay.
did the pandemic style, just small, intimate at home. So luckily we got to do
Yeah,
it.
yeah. And he's also an artist, right? Or he
He's a
works with
photographer, yes.
artists.
He does
He's a
help me a
photographer.
lot with
Sorry,
my
Johan.
work.
I knew you were kind of like involved in the arts too. So how does that work in terms of both of you being kind of artists and both pursuing art as full-time jobs,
Yeah. It's really, really helpful to have another artist beside you where you can talk and debate or bounce back ideas
Yeah.
so that like we really get to help each other with our own styles and works, and he helps me when I need him and I help him when he needs me. For sure, he's taking all of my photos. That's why they're so nice. That's one thing. And then when I do portraits, he takes the photo. So we always work in tandem. That's very helpful when you're an artist, especially that a lot of artists are very solitary and introverts.
Mhm.
Always try to have friends that are artists. It's really helpful.
And so you understand each other's need for space and quiet when
Oh
when you know
yeah,
when the need arises.
but we share a
Yeah.
studio. But I make sure that they're
Oh, okay.
a few meters away because I need my space.
Yeah, yeah. And was that harder during the pandemic because you had to like really work together, or you really both work from home?
The pandemic helped me because we do like working at home.
Yeah.
So if in some way others had
And
a
so it
hard
cut your
time,
travel time as well.
yes,
It cut your travel
exactly.
time to you.
We
Yeah,
got to make
yeah.
the most out of working at home. And I think that's why I also
Um,
had shows a little faster. I got to work faster, not anymore out half of the week.
yeah, true. But
Mm.
and in your students, when you what ha- can you kind of explain the feeling when obviously you're imparting what you know, and also they become influenced by you, of course, because you're also sharing your style and your process. What could you maybe tell us what it feels like when you encounter someone extremely talented that you can already see, in your student, that this person with probably the right guidance, training, exposure, agent, manager would end up becoming a really great, who has a potential to be a really good artist. Oh no, Jackie, I think you're frozen. Jackie, sorry guys, I think her internet got cut off, or that could be me. Let me just find out.
Hi, Miss B. I think Jackie's internet connection is a bit unstable.
Of Jackie? Of mine or Jackie's? Oh, there's Jackie. Sorry,
Sorry,
we
our
lost you for
internet.
a bit. Usually it's me. Usually my internet sucks, but
Sorry
for a
for
change,
that.
it's not me.
We were asking another question.
Yeah, I was asking that since you teach, right? So
Yes.
you come across talent and everything, and because you obviously you're sharing your process, your style, your own influences, and you become an influence to a budding artist. What's the feeling when you encounter somebody, a student with talent, like you know that there's something special? Can you describe that for us? Have you encountered, well, you might have students here, so you have to
Oh
say
yeah.
yes.
Always. Well, it feels great. And I think the best kind of feeling is when they start off and I see where they are at in their skill level. And after maybe a few months of the semester, they're so good already. And I gotta admit, some of them are much better than I am. I'm just really very proud. And I guess I could say it's very fulfilling as an artist and as a teacher. So that's really why I'm here in UP Fine Arts.
Yeah. And what was it like for you? Because it must have happened to you. Someone, a teacher or another artist must have spotted your talent as well. And did it give you like a sense of validation that you were choosing kind of the right path to
Yeah,
follow?
that's right. I had a professor, his name is Bim, Sir Bim Bacaltos, and he was my figure drawing teacher, which I am teaching now. And his feedback for me saying that, oh, you're doing well here, the reaffirmation is really helpful to know that I'm doing well and knowing that I I have a chance to pursue this profession.
Yeah.
So it really helps to have a mentor or a professor. That's why I kept sticking
Mhm.
to UP. Even after graduating, I went back and I bug everyone. So if you're a student,
Yeah.
continue to just uh, talk to professors, talk to everyone older than you, ask questions. That's what I did. That's really how you get to learn.
Yeah. Are there any exhibits here or abroad that you've been able to catch that have just really, I mean, made an impact in your life? You mentioned earlier seeing, I mean, being influenced by Egon Schiele, but
Yeah.
was there any particular exhibition that you saw? And
Back in I think 2013, I went to Hong Kong and did a whole exhibit trip. I made sure that we visited galleries for 4 days. That really helped a lot. I actually don't I am very open to seeing other exhibits other than painting and figurative. I find a lot of inspiration from abstract artists abroad and here. I always look forward to art fair for sure. That's kind
yeah,
of like a crazy fair full of paintings. I can't really say a specific one though. It's a lot. And I always go through Instagram and find a lot of artists. That's how we
yeah.
learn nowadays.
Yes, yeah. But Hero was almost semi-abstract, right? I mean,
Yeah,
you
it
could see
was.
the figurative qualities, but it also had, and I think because it was a little bit spiritual in many ways, though.
Yeah.
So you were able to convey that, right?
Yes.
But do you find that you said that, I mean, each of your exhibits have been quite, each has been quite personal. So you
Mm-hmm.
were like, you mentioned there was one particular exhibit you were kind of like, it was a darker one.
Yeah.
Um, how important do you think context would be in terms of appreciating your work? Like, do you feel that maybe without explanatory text or something like that, would does it help or not? I just don't know, as an artist, because you're obviously trying to say something,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, that's
Or
right.
yeah, and
Oh,
you
it's
don't know
actually
how
nice.
people, yeah, do people kind of like um connect immediately with the work because maybe they're drawn to the emotions it stirs in them, right, without necessarily knowing the story behind it. I don't know, I'm just throwing this question out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I get that. And I'm glad that you brought it up because I didn't include that in my presentation. But I do pay a lot of attention to the artist's statement, the write-up of the show.
Mm.
Um, I'm not good kasi in writing or communicating what I feel. That's why I hire a writer. For all of my shows, I have a really nice, creatively written artist statement.
Mm.
When I'm almost done with the series, I contact the writer and I tell them everything. I think if there's one person who knows the stories, it's my writer. Right now, her name's
Yeah.
Kit Singson, and that's in my website. That's the first thing you'll see, and it's a
Yes,
nice
yes.
narrative. So I guess that's all I can do with sharing what it is about.
Yeah, but then not everyone takes the time to read the text or the artist statements or
True.
the wall text or something. So I mean, it must also say something about the power of your work that you're able to communicate it,
Oh,
through the work itself.
I'd
So
like to think that.
a viewer can connect, right? Connect to it
Yeah.
without necessary and giving it its own meaning, right?
Hmm.
Once they have it, or even when they see it, it would probably mean something else to them, or stir in, elicit something else.
Hmm.
Um,
I do try to
Not necessarily what you might have intended.
maybe not upfront, but I always think of it at the back of my head. Like, is this clear enough for others to relate
Mm.
to? So that's always there when I'm trying to finish a piece.
Yeah. But does it happen that, when you're there, let's say at an opening of your own works, and you have, potential buyers and your admirers and your collectors and all that, do they take the time to talk to you and to ask you what went into a particular painting? Does it
Yes, I do
add
get that.
value to their work? Yeah.
I think so. Um, with my past experiences for those buying the work, parang they would pick a painting and they'll want to get it, and then they'll just ask a little bit of it. Why is it titled this way? So I'll give them a
Yeah.
little bit
Yeah.
of idea so that naman, I mean, I kind of owe
Yeah.
it to them that they know at least why I painted it.
Yeah.
That's why I also like the having a physical show. It's more candid, and
Yes.
I'm
The
better
interactions.
talking
Yeah.
just casually about it.
Yeah. And when you do, because you were saying you're not good at writing, but obviously you're
Yeah.
a writer. You've got a brilliant writer because she expresses it really well. I'm just wondering, in terms of the formation at UP when you do fine arts, do you encourage the artists to be able to explain what they're doing as well?
I do in my classes.
Yeah.
um, I think it's still important and maybe better if you can, right? So with all my
Yeah.
projects that I ask them to do, I always ask them to give a rationale. It doesn't have to be naman super
Yeah.
detailed, but it's good that you are aware of what you're doing. For me, because I am aware, but it's just hard for me to word it out. So that's what I try to
Yeah.
teach the students, to at least use words too. It's not, maybe, I don't want to say it's not enough, but it's much better if you can explain it through
Yeah.
words.
And then you said something earlier about copying. You said not copying line
Yeah.
for line, but more like taking a part of it and then putting your own spin, so to speak.
Hmm.
And could you maybe? I mean, we could see that with Hero. Do you have any other examples of your work that you could maybe point out how consciously or unconsciously, or you might have realized it belatedly? Oh, this was actually inspired by so and so, and obviously you did it in your own way.
Mm, shall I show?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah,
I'll go back to my presentation for that. I'll share my screen again.
sure.
Here, I like this one a lot. So these are four little ballerinas. The
So it's like Degas or
Oh nga eh. A lot of people are
a
saying that
little bit, diba?
a bit. I
Yeah.
wasn't too aware of that, but when I looked at it, oh nga, it does look like it. Um, I had an image in my mind of painting ballerina kids, and I just tried to find photos of kids taking ballet, and I composed them by myself in Photoshop to make
Mm,
this composition. And of course, the photo has a ballet studio at the back, more kids. There's a teacher on the side, and based on what I wanted for my vision. This is a memory of when I was a kid doing ballet because I really enjoyed it. And so that's
yeah.
the only thing I take from the photo. And I didn't even follow the colors. I made my own so that it looks more dreamy. So I what I like about or at least what I teach with my students is be more conscious and have more control on the works that you are doing. Better to not just follow what the photo is giving you, so that you show your own voice in your own painting, not just trying to
Mm,
copy and show the
yeah.
photo that you copied. Okay, I'll stop sharing.
Oh,
Is
that's
there
fine.
other
It's a
here?
beautiful painting.
Thank you.
Yeah.
These are all photos, but like the reason why I don't also include everything, because if it's not important, then you don't need to put it.
Mm,
Okay, thank you.
yeah. Um, well, there's one. It's actually congratulations, not exactly a question
Oh
from
yes,
Mark.
thank you, Sir Mark. He's the dean of the
Yeah.
UP of UP College of Fine Arts.
Oh
Thank you for
wow! Oh
attending,
wow! What
sir.
an honor to have you.
Yes.
Thank you for coming. Um, I was going to ask you also. You mentioned that you had been working with you were you freelancing for advertising agencies and all that,
Yes.
illustrations and everything. And then when you decided to go full time, did your parents have anything to say? I mean, were they like, you know what they say? There's a cliche about the artist's life,
Yeah,
and
I totally get that.
you know,
But no,
yeah,
they really let me do anything I wanted. That's one of the nice things I
that's
had.
great. That's great.
My
Yeah,
mom's here, by
yeah.
the way. Thank you for letting me
I
do
know.
whatever.
I thought she was. I thought she was.
But
Yeah.
I'm
And then
still
there's an
very
excellent question. Oh,
careful.
sorry. Go ahead.
I'm still very careful with
Yeah.
these decisions. I didn't just like jump without knowing what to do next. I was hired in UP, so that's already one little job on the side. And then I already had like a few commissions coming in, and that's
Okay.
how I decided. Okay, parang kaya na every month. Still very
Yeah.
careful,
Good.
man.
Yeah. And this is obviously the business model is very simple. You're like, what's the word? Self-employed. Well,
Yeah,
plus UP.
yeah,
Yeah.
part
Correct.
of it.
Yeah. There's an excellent question here from Eunice. How do you deal with critics?
Oh my gosh. I gotta say, when I was starting, uh, I was so sensitive, and I would say, "Oh, you don't know anything if you don't like my work." But
Yeah. Yeah.
it happens to everyone when you're starting. But nasanay din
Yeah.
ako, especially with Johan. We started to become very frank with each other. And so I'd say, "What's not working here?" Then he'll say, "Oh, I think it's this." So what what I do is I always try to listen to everyone's thoughts. I have comments on everything. Some would say,
Mm.
I don't like your work. It's ugly." Like, I really hear that
Annoying.
sometimes, and
People say
I
that to
could see
you.
why. Sometimes it's like sometimes because the face is a little distorted. Uh, I just accept it, and then part of me would think, well, that's really like I say, I paint what I feel. That's really how it felt. And then maybe next time I'll see if I can tweak it, but I always want part of it to be honest. So it's just a balance of
Yeah.
listening and trying to see if I should accept it or dismiss it.
But it also helps you evolve, right? As an
Yes,
artist, because
exactly.
if you just keep hearing uniform praise and you're not even sure if it's
Oh,
sincere or not because they don't want to hurt your feelings or something, then you're not going to try to strive to,
true.
find other ways of expression or even experiment with, because parang you think, oh, I'm onto a sure thing pala, everybody likes this,
That's
you know.
right.
Although it's equally valid if you want to continue in a particular style, right? I mean, it's not for me to say,
Yeah.
but just
Mhm.
thinking how criticism also could be constructive, as they say. Sounds
I include
cliche,
that
but
in my classes. We have a critique
yes,
session online, and it's very important to know to hear what other people think, because that's what you're doing exactly. You're putting out work for
yeah,
other people to see. You need to know how they understand it, if you're actually getting the message across. Because if not, then maybe
yeah,
there's a disconnect.
yeah. So how do you tell your students to thicken their skin?
uh, I tell naman my critique nicely, hindi naman. So I tell them what I like about it and then what to improve. It's a choice of words too.
Yeah, yeah,
On
of course, yeah.
like don't step on their work naman.
No, but that's not even productive if you if
Yeah, that's
you
true.
you know
Yeah.
kind of go on the attack instead of
Mm,
finding what's good and what can be improved, right?
yeah.
I mean, I think that's also a hallmark of a good teacher, that you're able to convey these things without necessarily breaking a person down, or
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
Yeah. Although I don't know if they still exist, but you hear of people talking about terror teachers, and
I know a
wonder
lot of
if that was
terror
more in the
teachers.
past, right?
I
Yeah.
believe more in inspiration than fear.
Yeah.
Don't scare them. So I try to be a more inspiring teacher, but still hold up to my being strict on deadlines.
That's probably the one of the hardest things, right? Because I
Yeah,
think everybody
because
has trouble,
if
especially if
if
you have a creative kind of, character. Deadlines are very difficult to deal with, right?
yeah, but if you want to do a freelance life or being an independent artist, you gotta
Yeah.
that's a skill you have to learn in
Mm.
following deadlines or at least work with a schedule.
Yeah. And this is more of a practical question.
Mm-hmm.
Do you do your own books? I mean, do you do your own accounts or something? Because, again, maybe it's another stereotype, but artists are supposed to be like just, creatively minded, and they can't deal with other practicalities like admin and all that. So
I actually
just,
do. It's
you do? You do your book?
yeah, I do. I maybe because I'm still young, I can manage everything. But like, if there's a client who wants to work, I'm the one emailing and doing the invoice and everything. I can still
Wow.
manage.
And how do you price? I mean, or I don't want to get too personal, but I'm
No,
just
it's
saying that
okay.
I hear some people say, "Oh, it depends on the how many square inches or whatever," and I'm like, I have no idea. I mean, obviously, as a writer too, it's so confusing. I don't know
Yeah.
how to bill sometimes or how to charge. So I wondered if you face the same challenges.
I'm very open to that question. It's also a topic that I actively teach on the side to help others learn how to price their work because um, it's not something we talk about a lot. So there are maybe two different ways. One is more of the time based, and you have a price for your per
Mhm.
hour. But I find that very
Mm.
difficult. So I do a per square inch. Um, I went through a lot of galleries and asked the galleries how much the work is, like trying to kunwari buyer ako. And then I figured out what what price points each artist has. So if you're like a student starting artist, maybe a peso per square inch is like 20 to 50 pesos, let's say. If you're a national
Okay.
artist, you're like 400 to 600 to 1,000 pesos per square inch. And then I can get to
Wow.
find where you sit in between that.
Yeah.
And
That's
it also
interesting. I
depends on
didn't
the
know that.
difficulty. Like if I had an abstract work compared to a portrait, the portrait would be a little more expensive
Yeah.
because there's more work with it. There's more precision. I have to make it look like them.
Mhm.
Like these two. This is an abstract study. This is a
Yeah.
figurative work.
Yeah. So your portraits obviously a premium when you're commissioning,
Yeah.
I should say. Yeah. No, which is fair, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
It comes with a
And
photo shoot.
usually if someone were to commission with a photo shoot and
Yeah.
then you do, yeah, okay, got it. And so usually how long do you commit to a commissioned work?
I would say 2 to 3 months working on it. So the first month would be
Yeah.
the photo shoot and a lot of studies. The second month is painting it. And then I need, since it's oil, it takes a long time to dry, like 3 weeks. And then I'll varnish it and then I'll deliver
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Okay, I have a kind of a, it's not, I wouldn't say it was a trick question. It was a little outside of the box question.
Sure.
You know, art falls under freedom of expression and all that, right? Freedoms guaranteed by the Constitution and all. But let's say you do a portrait of a public figure or a hero, or an actual national hero or something, and in your style, which is not necessarily hyper realistic, right? So there's a little bit of creative license and everything. And if someone
Uh-huh.
were to say to you, "Oh, you're defacing a national, you're insulting one of our national heroes or something," I mean, how do you respond to that? Because we live in really polarized times, right, at the
Yeah.
moment. So people have all sorts of very strange notions, and so just wondering out of curiosity how you would defend something that's actually enshrined in our constitution, but the person may not see it as such. The critic, put it that way, the detractor.
Well, for one thing, I make sure to avoid it so that I don't get in trouble. But
But it shouldn't be troublesome, right?
yeah, I actually
I mean,
don't
like
know.
it's like your style. You're not really insulting any kind of like let's say you were to do maybe, okay, not a hero, but Pope Francis, for example, in your style. There's nothing there that's
No naman.
insulting, but maybe because it's a little blurry or something, then they'll say you're not giving him due respect. You know what I mean?
Oh, I painted Saint Jose Marie Escriva. He's
Escriva.
the saint
Yeah.
for Opus Dei.
Was the
And
guy. Yeah.
I actually thought of that if some would not uh enjoy the work, but luckily so far no one has complained.
Okay.
I wouldn't know what to
Yeah.
do. Maybe try to defend creative freedom.
Right? Yeah. I mean, that's what I was thinking
At
also.
least
No, because
show that the
it's a
intent
situation.
was the intent isn't
Yes.
um, ill
Yeah.
intent.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Hmm.
So, anything else you want to tell us about the show before we close?
I hope you
Or
can
you
see
good?
it. Yun lang naman.
Yeah, it's still at Manila House
Thank
still. So you have about 11 more days, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me again in Manila House.
Thank you. And again, I wanted to say that I quite like the contrast because we have our interiors are very strong, our colors are very strong, and then
Yeah.
suddenly, you have this work that's quite soft and
Mhm.
lyrical and dreamy also, no? There's a bit of like this dream world kind of thing, especially with the pinks and the purples and all
I'm glad
that.
you liked
Yeah.
it.
So I hope you can catch the show. Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
congratulations, you've done really well with this
Thank you so
show.
much.
Yeah.
We'll see what we'll have next. Maybe next year.
Yeah. Looking forward to what you're planning next. I mean, it's like you're like this dynamo that doesn't stop. You know? And the thing is, your work is so relaxed. Actually, it's quite serene. And
That's
pala
true.
you're working all the time.
It's kind of opposite sometimes. I'm going crazy with a
Yeah.
lot of work.
Yeah. Okay, then on that note, if you want to go back to this talk, it's going to be up on YouTube or in a couple of days, in a day or so, and then members will obviously send it to you as well on WhatsApp, the WhatsApp chat. And there's also definitely going to be something in the newsletter in September about our webinar today. So thank you for sharing your time, sharing your work, sharing your talent
You're welcome.
Really
Thank you.
appreciate the in-depth kind of discussion into what went into all your into this particular exhibition.
I'm glad to share it. Thanks.
Yeah, we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you
Okay.
so much, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Thank
And
you.
until the next time. Thanks, Jackie.
Bye.
Bye.